Hey everybody, before we start the show, I want to be sure to invite everybody for the Resort Loop Group Cruise 2.0 next year, June 21st to the 28th. It'll be on the brand new Disney Treasure. It's a 7-day cruise, St. Thomas, Tortola, 2 days at sea. We'll swing by Castaway Cay. It'll be a great time. On the Treasure, there's going to be a new Coco-themed restaurant that's going to be fantastic. And get this, there's a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea bar, a Jungle Cruise bar, a Haunted Mansion bar. We're going to set the bar here at this cruise. Plus, we need to defend our title as a Resort Loop Group Cruise on the 80s Music Trivia Night. You'll want to join us for that. That's lots of fun. If you want to be a part of our group, you got to book through Resort Loop Travel. You can find information at ResortLoop.com, or you can send me a note over at Tim@ResortLoop.com. We'd love to send you out a free quote. We hope you'll consider joining us on the Resort Loop Group Cruise next year. Everybody, here's the show.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
If you're standing, please hold on to the handrails and stay clear of the doors until the monorail stops completely and the doors open.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. This is ResortLoop.com, the gateway to the magic. Thank you everybody for tuning in. So happy to have you here today. Thrilled to have a long-time Super Looper on the show, Mr. Matthew Wallace. Matthew, how are you doing?
Tim, I'm doing great. I was thinking today how far back I go with you guys. I think I started listening at like show 6.
I know you're in there. You were one of the early ones.
Yeah, and you know, I miss Bob. I'm sure you do too.
Love Bob.
You guys had a great rapport, and I fell in love with your podcast, and I'm glad that we've become friends, so I really appreciate that.
Oh, always a pleasure to have you on. Always a pleasure to talk Disney, of course.
I don't think there's anything else to talk about, is there?
We could talk for a long time about that. You had a very special trip coming up we're going to talk about, so I'm very excited to give us a little backstory on your trip.
Yeah, about the end of April, I started realizing, and my brother died a year ago in March, and his birthday is in April, and the combination of the two this year just kind of really got me to realizing that I wasn't smiling the way I should be. I was plastering it on for my passengers to see. For those who might not know, I drive a bus at Ohio State. Hello. But I realized that I was still pretty sad with all that. And I follow a guy on YouTube, and he's in the parks almost every day. And I've developed friendships with people in the chat there. And I've just kind of asked him, you know, I'm not happy right now. I need to get a smile on my face. What do you guys think if I take a 4-day trip to Disney? Don't ask people that suffer the same ailment you have what you should do. So I came home and I started looking at things, and I worked things out at work and got some time off, and I booked my trip.
Very nice.
At first, it was just going to be a 4-park day trip. I flew down on the 12th of June. And this is where it gets fun. My flight originally was supposed to land at 7:30 p.m. on the 12th of June. However, I ended up having more than enough time at work to take the extra vacation time off. So I flew out 12 hours earlier.
Hey.
Which meant, and for people who know me, this isn't really a stretch. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, which is my normal wake up time because I start work at 5 a.m. So I got up, got a shower, finished the last minute packing, got my wife to take me to the airport. Southwest, can't say enough about them. Great airline. We left the gate early. We landed early. All in all, just... I got the Pop Century Resort at 8:35 that morning.
Wow.
And my room was ready.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's going to be a good trip.
That set me off on a really good step. So I had rented a scooter for this trip, but I had a little bit of time before I could pick it up. So I took my stuff to the room. I actually unpacked my suitcase, which is something I never do. But I had the time, so I did. Went down, picked up my scooter around 9 o'clock. I had ordered Amazon Fresh before I got on the flight, and I had a Dr. Pepper while I was on the plane. That was it. So I do have to give Pop some accolades because I had their Tacho breakfast bowl.
Yes,
It's awesome.
it is awesome.
It was filling. It had good flavor to it. You know, a little bit of pepper, and I was good to go. And I should also add that I had the quick service Disney dining plan, but I did not use it for this meal. I had planned those meals out already, so I just paid cash for this one. But I did get my resort refillable mug, and I got some tips on that a little later on. But once I got everything organized, I rolled right on back to the Skyliner, headed to Epcot, and I was in Epcot just a little before 10 a.m.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
One, I will say,
Epcot
the
is-
Tachos bowl, that's a great breakfast choice, by the way. I had that this last trip
It
at
is.
Landscape of Flavors at Art and Animation. Same thing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Filling. And then anytime you get in the Skyliner, as soon as you get there, much less get into a park, is a good day.
Yep. And you're right. It was filling, but not too filling. It was just right. I didn't feel like I had anything to worry about after that. In fact, I didn't eat again for several hours.
Right. You're good to go for Cosmic Rewind.
Well, actually, I didn't do that. I didn't have anybody with me, and I don't do roller coasters alone.
Gotcha.
So I have done Cosmic Rewind. I can say I've done Cosmic Rewind. My wife can confirm that I did Cosmic Rewind. I don't know that I feel the need to do it again. You know, I might do it again. If I'd have had a better song the first time, I might like it more. But I had Flock of Seagulls. I didn't like that song when it was a hit.
Oh.
So, anyways, I got to Epcot. I knocked out Soarin', Spaceship Earth, bought a hat, the one that you've seen me wearing. I had to have something cover my head while I was down there.
Nice. Yes. I love the hat, by the way. I almost said something.
Thank you. I just kind of went around and looked at all the changes since the walls had finally come down. That's the first I'd seen it like that in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and it hasn't been that way very long at all.
No. I can't say I dislike what they've done. I think they've done a wonderful job with it.
Yeah.
The fact that they brought Communicore back in some form or fashion
Gives me the feels.
It does. It does, because I was there 2 days after Epcot opened up. I remember all of the original equipment.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed that. But, you know, it was hot. It was humid. I'd gotten an early start. I was a little tired. So I decided to leave Epcot for now. Jumped on a bus going to French Quarter because I had to get some beignets.
When you have the urge, you just got to, fill the urge. Nothing like a good beignet.
Up until recently, there was nowhere else on property to get it, and I would venture to say these are still better than the ones you get at Magic Kingdom.
Oh, could be. I can't compare them yet, but
neither can I. That judgment will come at some point. Now, here's one of my tips with your resort refillable mug, folks. Take it with you, because all of the food courts in all of the hotels are available to fill your cup with you. So if you have the ability to take it with you, go ahead. If you're planning to go to another resort, have it with you.
That's a good tip, especially if you don't mind carrying it around. Maybe have a nice little rope backpack or something like that, something small. Not
right. And since I had a scooter, I had a basket, so I just stuck it down in there, and down the road we went.
Perfect.
And I love French Quarter anyhow, so I enjoyed just sitting there for a little bit and taking in that resort and the ambiance of it. And then I jumped on a bus, went over to Hollywood Studios and grabbed the Skyliner back to Pop, because if you're at Pop, the Skyliner is the best way to get in and out of there.
Yes.
And from where I was at French Quarter, it was probably the most direct way. to get back to my room in efficient time. So I got back there a little bit after 1 o'clock, I think, and did a little pool time, a little rest in the room.
Nice.
And then I headed back to Epcot at about 3 o'clock because I wanted to go see the last show for the American Adventure. That is probably my favorite show on the entire property.
Oh, I love that show. And you mean the last show for that day? It's not
for that day.
It didn't end. If anybody out there is just tuning in,
right, for that day. And I actually got back early enough to see Voices of Liberty had they actually been scheduled that day, but I didn't realize till I got there they were not scheduled.
Gotcha. I think sometimes they're not scheduled because I think they do a lot of weddings and that kind of thing around property too, and other locations. So.
That I think, and you know what? They deserve a day off now and then.
Well, they do.
I mean, they're there 6 days a week at least, so
right.
Let them have one off. What the heck? So that was fun, and then I went from there. I got Nemo and Friends out of the way. I did the Mickey and Friends character meet and greet. I have to say that's a very unique and well thought out area to meet, because you meet Mickey, Goofy, and Minnie all in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
They have actual photo pass photographers, not the little boxes.
Right.
And it was a fantastic interaction. I have a shirt that is Spaceship Earth designed. And when I walked in, Mickey looked at me, my shirt, and pointed to the wall. And so I walked back by the wall, and he's going like, looking around like he can't see me because I blended in Spaceship Earth.
Epcot camouflage.
Exactly. So, I mean, all three of those interactions were really, really special.
And this is a solo trip. Don't let anybody forget that. You're going solo and you're having all this great fun solo, because a lot of people, they wonder, would I enjoy a solo trip?
I highly recommend it, because there's nobody to go that, you decide to do something and there's nobody there to say, no, we can't do that.
Right. Exactly.
So, let's see, I got done with that and I went over to Imagination and rolled around ImageWorks, and I got to say, I hope at D23 they're going to give us something for that building, because it needs help. It's sad.
It needs a little refresher, and I'm hoping, like you, I'm hoping for big things from D23 this year. We'll see. I don't know, but I've been let down before with D23, but I've also been surprised with some D23
Haven't
stuff.
we all? So I think with everything that's going on up the road, they better come up with something.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say about that, because I've never been there, so I can't say much about it. And then I went and spent my first quick service credit at Yorkshire County, because you got to have fish and chips.
So good.
It is good. And I mean, they give you a piece of fish that's longer than the plate.
It may have been a dolphin. We're not sure.
Yeah. I really, and the area right there, I mean, you're right next to the water. I was able to find a table.
It's beautiful there.
It is. It's very pretty. You just look around the UK pavilion and it still looks as good now as it did the day I walked in there the first time.
Absolutely. They do such a good job keeping everything clean and upkept. And I've always enjoyed the theming of the UK also. Take time, walk around the back in the gardens.
Yep. So then when I got done with that, I had noticed when I was rolling around World Showcase earlier that they had several spots marked off for people in mobility devices.
Okay.
So I went and found one of those spots around 7:45. It was right opposite Canada. I could hear the band that was playing behind me, so I was getting entertained. But I had a front row seat for Luminous. And you remember how people made such a big deal about the Stargate during Harmonious?
Yes.
And why does nobody say anything about the blast island in the middle?
Maybe the tacos bother them more than the Stargate.
Yeah, maybe. That may be, but I have to say that apparatus is amazing because it's got pyrotechnics, it's got the water effects, it's got a lot of the video effects that are involved with the show. I had seen Luminous on YouTube, doesn't do it justice. You got to see that show up front and personal. And the nice thing about it is it doesn't matter where on the promenade you are, you're getting a good view. It did get interesting though, because it was so hot and humid. The smoke from that did not dissipate quickly. And it was funny because I was watching the kids around me. They were all kind of, you know, it was because it was hanging low and it wasn't moving very fast. There was no wind that night. So
Yeah, you play wind roulette when you're watching the show there at
you
Epcot.
you do. So that's how I ended up my first night. I jumped back on the Skyliner, and when you're in a scooter, Skyliner has a separate line.
I was going to ask you, like, because you not only did the scooter, I want you to talk about how easy that is and how it is doing it solo. If it's any different than traveling with other people.
The difficult thing about doing it solo is there's nobody to hold your tray when you buy food. I had some juggling to do with that. Like when I got the fish and chips,
Right.
I told them to keep the tray. I just tried to set everything down in my basket gently and roll over to a table. But somebody did. There was somebody, one of the cast members at the tables, and she asked me if I needed anything, and she went and got me some malt vinegar and some ketchup. And
Aw,
that was very nice of her because I was going to roll back up and get that.
very nice.
You know, so, but when you use the Skyliner and you're on a scooter, you have separate lines at all the stations. And when you roll up, the cast member is going to tell you where you have to go. The cool thing about that was that at the end of the night, there's like 14,000 people trying to get on the Skyliner.
Right.
But because I went up the handicap or the disability ramp, I was third in line. And in all of the stations except for the Riviera, they're able to pull cars off into a separate area to load and unload scooters, wheelchairs, and I think they even do it for certain strollers. But I got back to the Skyliner. I boarded my my car at about 9:45, and I was back in my room at 10:18.
Wow.
And I did not waste any time going to bed, folks. I was tired that night.
That was a long day, my friend.
It was, but honestly, I think it was the best day of the entire trip. I got so much done. I didn't buy Disney Genie Plus because I wasn't trying to set any records that day.
Right. You just needed to be there.
I was just happy to be there, get the few things done. The fact that I got to see Soarin' in a position where the Eiffel Tower stayed straight up, that was nice. So, you know, I got done what I got to do. I enjoyed Epcot immensely. Luminous was definitely worth the wait to see. And I slept like a rock that night.
Fantastic. So you did the dining plan. How many days were you there again?
I had let's see, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I had 4 nights, 5 days.
Nice.
Is what I ended up having. Because my flight back on Sunday, I didn't have to be back at the airport till about 3:30.
Okay.
4 o'clock, something like that. I can't remember exactly what time we went, but I got up bright and early the next morning and headed off for Magic Kingdom.
Nice.
I got there in time for early entry. Rolled into Magic Kingdom about 8:15, I believe it was. I did get a virtual queue for Tron, but I don't know if it was the travel or the long day and the combination of heat. I couldn't get my stomach to settle that day. And I didn't think it was wise for me to push it.
No, not on that ride.
it'll be there the next time.
Right. Absolutely.
So I went to Peter Pan first, which may seem odd, but you know, you get in there for early entry. It's one of the rides that works that early, and it was marked at a 30-minute standby when I got in it, but I was on the ride in less than 20 minutes.
Wow. And you know what? That doesn't sound crazy at all. 'Cause if you're going there solo, you can absolutely do what you want to do. Don't have to worry, answer to anybody and to see how anybody, would you rather do this? Do you want to do that? There's no questioning. You just go.
So I parked my scooter outside and went ahead and walked through the line. I can walk. I can move some.
Mm-hmm.
I can't walk as much as it takes to get around anymore. There's issues with my back and legs, and I can't stand still very long because then I just feel like I need to sit down. But I was able to put up with that long enough to get in. That was the first time I think I saw Tinkerbell fly around inside the queue. That was really cool.
It is. Yeah. We've only seen it a couple times ourselves.
And of course, it's closed now for some refurbishment. I think it's supposed to open here in a little over a month.
Right.
I hope they don't do too much to it other than maybe refresh a few things.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
But
we'll see if maybe they make an announcement at D23 on that also.
Right. So then I just went straight across the Small World because it was a 5-minute wait.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically how long it takes you to get down the bottom of the ramp.
Right.
And then I went over and did Under the Sea.
Do you enjoy Under the Sea? I know it's still relatively new.
It is relatively new. That's about the third time I've done it. And yeah, I do enjoy that attraction. Partly because when it turns around to go backwards so you can go under the water, I like the way that feels on my back. It's a nice rest.
Very similar to the Haunted Mansion when you're going backwards and down.
So then when I got done with that, I went and met the fella that runs Ear to Ear Magic. I met him face to face, him and his son. His name is Chris. And if you don't mind a little plug, if people want to feel like they're in the park every day, just look up Ear to Ear Magic on YouTube. He's there almost every day, and he does rides. He explains how things are done. They do a food poll. We all vote on what he gets to eat for lunch that day. Gets a little interesting sometimes, but he's a very nice guy, very, very good guy. He's just a gentleman, and he has fun doing what he's doing. I think that's what translates most.
I know I have seen him before, and you can tell he's having fun.
Yeah. So, and then of course I had to go do the People Mover because anytime I'm at Magic Kingdom, that's a must-do ride.
Absolutely. That's why that's why we're friends, Matthew.
Exactly. Well, you think about Walt Disney and his love of different modes of transportation. This is one of the ones that he actually had his hand on.
Right.
In the development.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure he had always hoped that it would be used more in
go more mainstream
scenarios.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you see versions of them in other cities, sometimes at airports,
right,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely think there could have been a lot more practical application in cityscapes.
Oh, absolutely.
For something like this, because I mean, they're talking now about how they want everything energy efficient. I don't think you can get any more efficient than what that thing runs.
No.
You know, a teaspoon of electricity and it goes for hours.
There you go.
So,
it's all magnets.
Yep. So I spent that day doing a lot of stuff. I did have Disney Genie Plus for that because Magic Kingdom is a park where that comes in handy. And yes, next week it's all going to change.
Of course.
We might have to have that discussion again later.
Right. I have to ask, did you do Carousel Progress after the People Mover?
Not that day, but don't worry, it's coming.
Usually they just go hand in hand.
They do,
it's like celebrating the future hand in hand.
It actually wasn't running. It was down when I came off People Mover. So
we had that problem with the People Mover last time we were there. By the way, celebrate the future hand in hand.
You know, I saw you post those the other day, and I was jealous because I don't have those ones.
Oh, I still got to put them up, but yeah, they're right here. I have a couple other things too. I got to get back there, but yeah.
Yep. Well, I've been trying for years to get this room done, but I got to get my wife to get some of her stuff out of here.
Nope.
Oh, sorry, honey. I didn't mean to say that.
We'll take that out.
So, yeah, sure. I grabbed lunch at Cosmic Rays. I had the burger there.
Okay.
And I have to say that for a quick service burger, it wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
Had
I've
good
had it there,
flavor.
not bad as well. Yeah.
Yeah, had good flavor, you know. And again, I had a cast member. She helped me get to a table. She got me some, condiments and stuff. That was great help. The one thing I didn't like about that was how hard it is to get in and out of there with a scooter.
Oh, I can imagine. I'm trying
That
to think of
building
even where the ramp
does
is.
not have automatic doors, and the ramps are on the ends.
That's why you don't really see them. Wow.
So unless somebody's there to help you open a door, managing getting through those doors is a little bit of an issue. So I think it's time for Disney to update that a little bit and get some kind of automated door in there.
There you go.
So let's see. Just to wrap that day, I don't want to go too long on this day.
No, but it sounds like you're having a great time.
Yeah, I did. I got to see Festival of Fantasy for the first time.
Did you enjoy
live
it?
and in person. I did. I was in the blazing sun. It was 95 degrees, but I had a really good place to watch. It was right there where it makes the bend at Liberty Square to go up into Main Street.
Mhm.
And it was wide open. It amazed me, though, how many people kept trying to cross the street in front of the parade.
Yeah.
And the cast members are trying to get them to stop, and nobody's listening.
Right.
Folks, they do that for a reason. If you get hit by a dragon, don't blame them.
Explain that one to your doctor.
At that point in time, we have a friend that lives in Florida. And if you remember where we went to get pizza together that one time,
Yeah.
she, on more than one occasion, brought us pizza down.
Oh, very
to
nice.
our house, because she just happened to be passing through. Well, she and her husband moved to Florida about an hour and a half away from Disney.
Okay. From Worcester to Florida. I love it.
Yeah, her husband died here, I think about 2 years ago.
Oh.
Maybe 3. About 3 years ago. And when she found out I was coming, she asked me if it'd be okay if she came and palled around with me. I said, sure.
Mhm.
I told my wife, she's like, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I know who she is. So she went ahead and got a room at Pop as well. Well, she met me at Magic Kingdom that day. We went and did Haunted Mansion together. And then I went ahead and did a sit-down reservation. I always like to do one when I'm there.
Mhm.
Because I want to try something new and different so that I have an opinion about it.
Right.
We went to Tony's Town Square.
And
I know that has gotten a lot of panned reviews in the past. However, I had seen several in the last 6 to 9 months where they have said the quality has improved.
I've heard the same. What'd you find?
I agree.
Okay. Very nice.
Would I go back again? Yeah, I think I probably would.
Okay.
I might not go for a main meal because it was a little too much for me to eat. I got the chicken parmesan with the spaghetti, and it was good. It was really good. But the star of the night was the garlic bread with the garlic cheese sauce.
Oh, see? I can forgive a lot if you have good garlic bread.
They stack it up kind of like in logs. It almost looks like a Jenga.
Okay.
The way it's set up, and you take the cheese, and you can, if you want to, just pour it over all of it, and it just kind of drizzles down, or you can put it on the side and dip. Either way. I may have liked the cheese sauce just a little better than the bread, but together they were amazing.
Hey, and you need your carbs. You're walking around that park, or out in that heat.
Yeah.
You're going to need a little something.
You need a little something. So, and I forget what Diane had. I didn't make a note on that, but she got one of the pasta meals. I think she said that she had eaten there before, and this was vastly improved over that last visit.
Okay.
So, if you're there, see if you can get in. Their reservations still do not go quickly.
Right.
That was the other thing, because I planned this trip less than 45 days out, and I had no problem getting Tony's booked, and I only did that like 3 weeks before I got there.
I will say I've noticed recently getting some reservations, other than maybe some very top tier ones. There's almost always something available, and usually in the general times that people are wanting, not too far off. So,
and a tip I'll give on that too is if you're trying to get something like, say, Ohana, go for that later in your trip. If you've got a 7-day trip, try that on your 6th day. You have a better chance of getting it.
Right. And keep checking back, especially, even day of. There can be there's people, that new 2-hour cancellation window. People are, canceling day of now. So,
yep. So we finished dinner about, I think, 6 o'clock or so. Storms were starting to look like they were going to roll in. So we decided to go ahead and head back to Pop. I was exhausted anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
To put it in words that I use, I was cooked, baked, and broiled with the heat. So it was time to call it a day. And I was glad I did. I got a really good night's sleep, got recharged, and I needed that because the next day we were off to Hollywood Studios. I actually spent money on Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
I had already planned to buy Disney Genie Plus, and I had that. But I went ahead and got the individual for Rise because I wanted to make sure I was going to be able to see it, get on it.
I get it. I mean, if you're one time down there for a while and you want to make sure you get it, shell out a few extra dollars.
And it actually wasn't that expensive. I can't remember what I paid, but I think it was like $15, maybe $1 or $2 less than that.
Yeah.
I've seen that go for as much as $20, and I'm not, I'm cheap, but
it's easier when you're not a family of 3 or 4 or something like that too.
Right. And if I had mentioned it before, the Skyliner is a game changer when it comes to Pop, Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, all that.
Yes.
Because again, since I was in a scooter and my friend was with me, she got to ride too. We got right on the Skyliner and we were at Hollywood Studios in no time.
Wow.
Plenty of time for early entry.
It makes you wonder, I think we're due for a Skyliner expansion of some kind because too many people are having too many great things to say about the Skyliner.
And I think there's a lot they could still do with it. I've heard people talk about stretching it to Magic Kingdom. I don't think we need to go that far with it. Magic Kingdom gets great service. You got the buses that drop you off almost at the gate.
True.
And I'm afraid that if they put the Skyliner in there, they might decide that the monorail is no longer needed. And I'm sorry, but that's an attraction.
It's totally an attraction, and minor tangent here. I'm concerned about the monorail being crowded after this new Polynesian DVC tower opens up. I'm wondering if they're going to have like special buses, or not buses, boats, maybe even buses to the Magic Kingdom from that tower just to ease the monorail. Because those poor people at the Grand Floridian don't always have lots of space to get in.
No, they don't. Now, the one thing, though, that at least Grand Floridian, they've got that walkway that takes you over there. And from what I understand, it doesn't take that long to walk if you want to do it.
That's what they say. It looks long. Maybe it's forced perspective.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought, but I've heard people say they can do it in 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay,
so
well,
it's not too bad.
I've not done it. Of course, we don't normally stay at the Grand Floridian.
I want to see those same people at the end of the night at Magic Kingdom walking back.
Man, that's when it gets worse, man. Everyone's raring to go going in, man. They're skipping down Main Street, and by the time they're done, they're asking for a tow from you with your scooter.
So we went to see Star Tours. Star Tours is kind of a dipstick attraction at the studios because if Star Tours has more than a 20-minute wait, that tells you what the park crowd is like. There was no wait. We got that. They hadn't actually opened the ride yet. We were so early. So
Oh, wow.
we got right in. She was in a scooter as well. She got a scooter for that day. So when you're in a scooter for Star Tours, they take you around the backside and load you from the exit.
Oh, okay. I've never noticed that.
So, but we did get to see some of the new scenes, including Ahsoka.
Okay.
And that was kind of nice. That ride can get to me. Rides like that can get to me a little bit, but a couple of trips ago, I realized that the inside of that thing's not shaped too differently than my bus.
Okay.
So I just pretend like I'm driving. I'm fine.
There you go. Like your Rex.
So exactly, pretty much. So I think that's a really, that's an underrated attraction anymore, if you ask me, especially with these updates.
I totally agree.
I think it makes it a little more fun.
It does. I'm amazed, for as old as that is, as you said, that they keep updating it with new Star Wars content for all the new shows. It's fantastic.
Right. I'll just hit a few highlights for this day because I don't want us to run too long. Lunch that day was at ABC Commissary.
Oh, I love the commissary.
4 words: buffalo chicken grilled cheese.
That does sound good. I've never had that. I'm more of I like the shrimp tacos there.
The buffalo is a dip.
Yes.
The sandwich has ranch dressing on the sandwich.
Okay.
So you dip it and then you take a bite and that ranch smooths out the buffalo like you expect it to.
Yes.
And that was an awesome sandwich. One of the ways you make sure you're using the Disney dining plan the best, especially the quick service one, buy the more expensive meals. And this is one of the more expensive meals there.
I love the ABC commissary. It's kind of I won't say it's hidden, but it's kind of hidden. A lot of people just walk right by it.
A lot of people walk. This was the first time I'd eaten there.
Okay.
It won't be the last.
I'll say depends on the season. Sometimes the menu doesn't always have a lot of things I like, but I can always find one thing there that I get and I really enjoy. And the past couple times it's been the shrimp tacos.
So, the Frozen show.
Yes.
I gotta say, I've seen that the last 3 times I've been to Disney, and that is an excellent show, especially at the end when she makes it snow for the last time. You can feel the temperature drop about 10 degrees in that room.
Yes.
And when you're outside and it's 90 degrees and 110% humidity, that extra 10 degrees feels really nice.
It does feel good before you have to go back out in there.
But I realized that the historians apparently have some room to ad lib in their storytelling.
Yes.
Because Travis and Taylor were mentioned.
Yeah, there's a lot of current events and
yeah, they mentioned them, and I'm like, really? Did we have to go there? Because I'm tired of hearing about them.
yeah, they give them a little improv room in there, I've noticed.
Yep. So then once again, this is a common thing. We took a break in the middle of the day, but we went back about 4:00. Now, when my individual lightning lane came up, Rise was down.
Oh. I'll be honest, that's not the first time I've heard of this happening.
No. And the nice thing about that is because it was down for more than a couple of hours, actually it was down more than a couple of hours right after opening. And I had I want to say it was around 10 o'clock time to go ride. So I didn't get to go ride it. And you get the little message in my Disney experience that tells you, hey, this is good for the rest of the day. You can use it somewhere else or come back later. So I went back after our little break and rode it. And I love Rise of the Resistance. It is without a doubt the best attraction that I've ever experienced in a Disney park.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish they could keep it from going down as much as it does.
Right.
But I guess, with technology,
things break.
So, but the one thing about this, I always forget about that last transport. It always catches me by surprise when it does the dive.
Yes.
I usually have to pick my stomach up off the wall behind me. But I got done with that, and then my friend, she went and did a couple of other things, and then we met up at Docking Bay 7 for dinner. I had the smoked Kadu pork ribs.
Ooh.
And you have your choice of sides. So I got the mac and cheese with some vegetables in it. Couldn't identify the vegetables. I ate some of them. I told my wife I ate some of them. She almost fell over because I'm not a big veggie eater.
Right. But you're a good mac and cheese eater.
Pour a bunch of cheese sauce on it. I guess I don't care. But these pork ribs were so good. I didn't need to add any extra barbecue sauce to them.
Wow.
I don't know what the flavoring was. I couldn't pick it out. And I also cannot find what looks to be an accurate recipe to copy it at home. But these ribs were fall off the bone tender.
Wow.
And the flavor was amazing. Simply amazing. So I would seriously suggest people putting that on their list because that is a quick service meal. And I got my money's worth out of that one.
That is a good tip because that sounds delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. So then we just went around and did some of the little things like Muppet Vision. We did Mickey and Minnie's Vacation Fun, which I'd never actually seen, but it's kind of a precursor for the ride.
Okay.
So you don't have to see it to enjoy the ride, but it does enhance the experience.
Okay. But that I still call it the new Mickey Mouse style.
Yeah. I'm not crazy about that, but it works in that venue.
It does. It does.
So, and then we went to see Lightning McQueen's Driving Academy.
Did you enjoy that?
You wouldn't even know it's back there.
Right. It's so hidden.
If you weren't looking for it. Once you get past the guitar, you can kind of see it. It's an amazing show. I mean, yeah, maybe it's for kids, but I liked it. I'm a NASCAR fan, so I recognize the tracks they're talking about.
There you go. Absolutely. You know a good tri-oval when you see it.
Yeah. And then we ended the night by going to see Fantasmic. It went through a very lengthy refurbishment here a little more than a year ago, I believe it was. They have completely changed all of the show elements. As far as the sprinklers and the pyrotechnics and everything, more spectacular than I remember from before.
Wow.
Also, some of the music is different. Some of the sequences are different. They all but got rid of the Pocahontas part. There's a little bit of it in there, but it's not as lengthy as it used to be.
Uh-huh.
That was just an amazing show, and we had really good seats because of the scooters. Nobody in front of us, nobody behind us, and it was really I can't say enough about it. Very well done show.
Awesome.
And then it took us longer to get out of Hollywood Studios than it did to watch the show, I think.
Oh, probably. There's a couple bottlenecks there getting out.
Yeah. Everybody's going the same place,
Right.
out.
How was the Skyliner once you got there, though?
Same thing.
Long line.
That was a late show. I want to say that was a 9:00 show.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we finagled the crowd and Diane dropped her Scooter off. It was 10:40 when we got back to Pop,
Gotcha.
and I had ordered a dessert on the way back. I had never had it before, so I had to get the tie-dye cheesecake and give it a shot.
Oh, the world famous.
That was my breakfast the next morning.
Oh, gotcha.
But I got there right before they I think they closed at 11 o'clock. I rolled in at 10:59.
Hey, as long as you know
And-
exactly what you want, you're good to go.
Exactly. Mobile order, folks, because if you mobile order before they close, they still have to get it to you.
Ah,
So that was the end of that day. Day 4, I went back to Epcot, cleaned up a few things I hadn't seen before.
Mhm.
Finally got to do Living with the Land because it was down all day the first day I was there.
such a classic.
Got to see the new Moana area.
What'd you think?
Wow.
Yes.
There were a lot of people that argued it didn't belong in Epcot, and I'm going to admit
I'm one of them.
I
I'll
may
be
be
honest.
one of those.
Yeah.
The concept art didn't do that one justice at all.
Mhm.
It's very interactive. They've got, again, PhotoPass photographers on site. And some of the magic shots coming off of that were really cool. I
would
liked
say.
them. So,
And Spaceship Earth is a backdrop for a lot of that. It's not awful.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anything with Spaceship Earth and backgrounds, winner.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. But I got to do we did the ride at Mexico, got to see the Voices of Liberty,
Ah, nice.
and if you don't know, President Bush paints, and I think the exhibit was called Portraits of a Hero.
Okay.
I think that's what it was called. All around the walls at the American Adventure. Take time to look at those. They're very special.
Oh, okay.
He did paintings of people that have been in the different services in various locations around the world, in various types of body shapes.
Okay.
Some people that had been injured during battle, they allowed him to paint their portrait because of the way he was doing it. Everything's very tasteful. Everything's amazing. I highly, highly, highly recommend taking time to look at that. And you're in the air conditioning, so why not?
Right. That's a great tip, and I haven't heard that. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Now, Diane was a sweetheart because Father's Day was that weekend. So she bought Disney Genie Plus for me
Aw.
for my last 2 days. So we used that to do Ratatouille. And again, we had an early lightning lane for it. Like almost as soon as we rolled in to the park, we were supposed to do it. It wasn't open.
Oh,
It was down and there was no estimate on when it was coming back up. So went and did other things. But when we got done with Voices of Liberty, we rolled over to the Regal Eagle for lunch.
Mhm.
Can I say that it's about time we had barbecue representing our country?
you can.
I remember when we were first in there the first week, that area was a hamburger stand likened to McDonald's.
Right.
It might
Yep.
have actually been McDonald's. I can't remember.
It could have been.
And the burgers were okay back then, but they got bad as years went on and people got tired of it. I got the Memphis dry rub beer battered Memphis dry rub ribs and the beer battered onion rings.
Nice.
And here's another tip for your refillable mugs, folks. Take them with you so when you have these meals and you get the special drinks, you got something to put it in if you can't drink it all.
Ah,
Because I had that tucked out. I had a towel in my basket and I tucked that cup down in with the towel around it. Everything stayed cold for hours.
oh, nice.
But I had a berry puncher, which was a white grape juice with peach, blackberry, and pear.
Ooh.
I never in my life thought I would enjoy that combination. I don't know if I can mix it at home to make it taste that good.
Right. It'd be easier just to go to Epcot and pick one up.
And it was refreshing because of the heat and
Yes.
everything. It was refreshing. It was a way to hydrate and not just drink water. So then it was time for another little break. So we went back to Pop, and I only waited about an hour and a half, and then I went on the Magic Kingdom by myself. I wanted to finish up over there and see Happily Ever After. This is where things get interesting.
Ooh.
Can you say the word thunderstorm?
Oh, down there I can.
Yeah. This is where I went and did Carousel of Progress. When I went in, it was just sprinkling. When I came out, it was sprinkling a little more. I covered the controls on the scooter, and I started traipsing around through Fantasyland. And I got under the overhang there near Memento Mori.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got there, it rained so hard, I was soaked to the bone.
Oh, the deluge.
I was right next to Columbia Harbor House, so I placed a mobile order. But I couldn't get through the crowd that was taking shelter under there to get to it.
Oh, no.
Finally, a Disney security guard shows up, and he's like, I'll help you get through. So I waited about an hour in there, ate my meal, had a nice time. When I got done, I had 2 lightning lanes I had to cash in because they were both washed out from the rain.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to see Monsters Laugh Floor. I did another People Mover ride. I did Jungle Cruise, which was one of the lightning lanes. I grabbed this thing they call a Dole Whip Vanilla Ice Cream Swirl, which looks to me a lot like the old citrus swirl, but it's not quite the same.
Right. Sounds good.
Can we get those back, please? And then I went over to the scooter parking for Happily Ever After around 8:30, and I just parked there and waited for the show. And in usual Disney style, everything cleared out before the show started.
There you go.
Great evening.
That's awesome.
My friend Diane was going to come. Actually, she had made it all the way back to Magic Kingdom, but she saw the clouds coming, and she texted me. She said, nah, I'm going back. She lives down there. She can go anytime she wants to. So I understood that.
Yep.
And that was the end of that night. I got back to the resort. Not too bad. I had to do a bus on that one, but I was back at the resort an hour after the fireworks were done. So I didn't think that was too bad.
No, it's not bad at all. That's fantastic.
And my last day was at Animal Kingdom. So did Navi River Journey. She did Flights of Passage. I skipped it.
Mm-hmm.
Did the safari. Had an excellent safari that morning.
Nice. Oh, the mornings. Yeah, they're usually better in the mornings.
Mornings are always good.
Yep.
And there were a lot of animals out there.
Oh, wonderful.
So we did both Festival of Lion King and Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond. Both excellent shows, great air conditioning. And then when those were done, I needed to hop back over to Epcot on the way to the resort because when Chris was over there a few weeks before, he had showed something over at the Guardians gift shop. I bought a bus.
Oh, you had to buy a bus.
I had to buy the bus.
Of course. I love it.
I had to buy the bus because it's an exact replica of the bus that I drive at Ohio State.
Okay.
But
Nice.
it's got the Guardians of the Galaxy wrap on it. And it's a die cast. It's still in the package. I haven't decided. I don't think I'm taking it out. I'm going to leave it there.
Okay.
It's going to end up getting hung on the wall somewhere eventually.
Nice. We need to get your Ohio State bus wrapped up with the Guardians.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of power. Although with all the shooting they do here for Marvel in Ohio, I mean, it's not a far throw to kind of, can we get something on there?
That's true. Cleveland just had it's not Marvel, but DC Superman up there.
Yeah, Superman. Yeah, Cleveland and Cincinnati both.
Yeah.
Yeah, they moved to Cincinnati last week.
That's where
They
the
shut down
Justice
one
League
of
of
the
America is.
They shut down one of the main bridges across the river down there, and people were not happy about that.
Yeah, they shut down Public Square in Cleveland for quite a few days too. So,
Yep.
but they get it done. It's all those Ohio film credits.
Yep. So that's pretty much where my trip ends. I went back to the resort, turned everything in, had my last meal at Pop so I could use up that quick service dining plan. And I cried all the way to the plane.
Right.
Coming home. So,
But sounds
would
like
I
you had a
do
fantastic
solo
trip.
I had a great time. I highly recommend, if you need a solo trip to put a smile on your face, just do it.
I love it.
You know, it was last minute, but I couldn't have had a better time, I don't think. Everything worked out well.
Right. Now, I know we're wrapping here, but again, just tell people how it went being a solo guy, having your scooter. Like, where'd you get your scooter from?
I got the scooter from Scooter Bug, and the only reason I did is because that's the only company that you do not have to be present for when it's dropped off.
Gotcha. So make it easy.
You pick it up, and most of the resorts, you pick it up at wherever Bag Services is, and they'll take care of you. My preferred provider for that is Gold Mobility Scooters, because when you go on their website, one price includes everything.
Okay.
And I paid extra for the few extras I had on the Scooter Bug. And the condition of the Scooter Bug one I was on, it looked like it had been through a demolition derby.
Oh, that surprises me.
It had scratches and dings, and
wow.
Even the motor, I think, was acting a little weird a few times. But I made it work because I wasn't going to argue with anybody about it.
Right.
But, so, yeah, do your research on that. Check companies. Find something that works for you. Be willing to meet them if that's what it takes. It's not a big deal. You set up the time. I used Gold Mobility 2 years ago when we stayed at French Quarter. Had a wonderful relationship with them. They did a really good job for me.
Great tip.
So, there is room in your rooms to park the scooter. You have to be creative a little bit. But I was able to basically back in to the room and slide it into the space between the coffee hutch and the dresser.
Okay.
And there's a plug right there. Make sure that when you get back to your room that you plug it in and that it has a full 8 hours to recharge.
Yes.
Don't go by what the little dial on the thing says you have. And if you go back to your room for an afternoon, make sure it stays plugged in for at least an hour.
Okay.
Because anything short of that screws up the little computer on it, and it doesn't think it has as much power as it might have.
Oh, that's a good tip too. Yeah, always plug it in.
So,
you don't want to run out.
No. I would say make sure you have a basket on it, and put everything you need in the basket, because security's going to check it when you get there. And if you're able to get up and walk through the door while they check your basket, you're through security. Bing bang, nothing to it.
Love it.
So, but yeah, if you need a scooter, get it. Disney's well adversed. I will close that out by saying one thing. Disney bought these new buses that are set up for mobility devices. As a bus driver, when I saw the first one, they put me in the regular slot, so I didn't know how it was supposed to go. It looked pretty cool. They're clean. They smell new. That's nice. But I went to get on one later, and it turns out that the front two spots you have to back into. And it's got an electronic arm that comes down alongside the outside of your scooter, and then it clamps up against the wheel so that you can't move. I don't like riding backwards in a bus.
Oh, I can imagine.
That was just a little weird.
Yeah.
So just be aware that these new buses are a little more difficult to deal with. From what I saw, the drivers were doing most of the arranging for those. So if that's the case, just let them do it.
Yep. Let them do
know
the
what
thing.
they're doing.
Yep.
So be nice to the bus drivers. They're just doing their job, trying to get you where you want to go.
And they actually do it really quickly and safely. So
absolutely.
Awesome.
And if you are in a scooter, you're the first one loaded, and your family goes with you, but you will be the last one coming off because that's just the quickest, easiest way from the dip.
Right. Get everybody else out of the way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So there you have it. That was my trip. It was 95 degrees the whole week and hot and humid, and
But you knew that going in, so
I didn't get a sunburn, so I guess I did okay.
you did fantastic. You were SPFing in the whole thing. Well, Matthew, thanks
Yes,
so much for joining us on the show. I love hearing about this trip. You had lots of great tips in there.
Well, Tim, I appreciate you letting me come on. It's been a blast. I've been a fan, as you know, of Resort Loop since the beginning, and still am. So
thank you very much.
Keep on trucking.
That's what we're going to do. You always find Matthew. He's out there hanging out on Looper Nation Live, our website, for our private Facebook group over there. So thank you, Matthew, for doing that with us.
Absolutely. And if you got any questions, feel free to email me at magical_Matthew@outlook.com. I'll answer any questions you've got about it.
Matthew knows a lot, and he's willing to share.
Absolutely.
I'm Tim Scott. You've been listening to ResortLoop.com, the gateway to the magic. Take us out, Matthew.
See you, everybody.